an astute leader, a far-sighted visionary, and a renowned academician and luminary of having great eminence, Honorable Chairman, AICT Chairman, Professor Anil Sahasrabudhe. And we are very thankful to you, sir, for giving us a very, very important of your time from your busy schedule. And you are also, we are thankful to you to have a very bright vision about the library and including a lot of transformative activity to include an important component of electronic resources as a part of AICT institution's curriculum. So we are really, really thankful to you, sir, and we hope that under your leadership, the library as well as AICT institutions will certainly going to improve both in terms of quality and quantity, and we are really proud of you, sir. We have another visionary leader among us, and he is a motivational speaker and having a lot of vision for upliftment of business school activity, entrepreneurship mindset. Our Honorable Director, Professor Padma Kumar Nair, is Director of L.M. Thapar School of Management. So let us welcome both the dignitaries on the board. And may I request Director Sir to welcome our chief guest, Professor Anil Sahasrabudhe. And I'll place on record the effort of Dr. Sandeep for making this happen today. So thank you, Sandeep. And thank you, sir. Kindly, diocese, Professor, to you, sir, Professor Nair.
Thank you, Sriram. Good morning to all. I extend a warm welcome to all the participants at the AICT Faculty Development Workshop on Research Support Services organized by our library. I truly feel privileged and deeply delighted to introduce our honorable chief guest, Professor Anil Sahasrabudhe, who is the chairman of All India Council for Technical Education. We are sincerely thankful to you, sir, for gracing this occasion in spite of your busy schedule. I have been following and learning from what AICT has been doing in the last several years, and I must admit that you are truly a transformational leader. An eminent academician of Professor Sahasrabudhe's stature needs no special introduction. Before taking up the current position of the chairman of AICT, Professor Sahasrabudhe has held several very important academic, research, and administrative positions at Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore, Tata Consulting Services, NERIS Itanagar, IIT Guwahati. He also served as the director, College of Engineering, Pune. During his long and illustrious career, Professor Sahasrabudhe has taken up several new initiatives in the area of teaching and pedagogy, learning, entrepreneurship and innovation, research, and most important of all is building sustainable institutions leader with respect to building sustainable government institutions for good governance. This workshop is one such example. The presence of Professor Sahasrabudhe is a blessing. On behalf of Thapar Institute of Engineering Technology, let us all welcome Professor Sahasrabudhe to enlighten us with his thoughts. I'm sincerely thankful to you, sir. Thank you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Padma Kumar Nair, Sri Ram, and Sandeep Bhavsar, who actually made me come here because I had a series of meetings, but he followed it up and said that at least for 5-10 minutes you must come to this workshop. And it is indeed a great pleasure to be amongst all the people who are involved in the library and information science. And this workshop is very, very important, significant from multiple respects. First of all, congratulations for organizing such a workshop under the aegis of Thapar Institute of Engineering, one of the finest institutions. But AICT had been doing faculty development workshops for faculty members for a long time. It is a history of about maybe 15, 20 years. This is ongoing. We have innovated in that. That is a different matter. But for other domains, there was no thought given by AICT for a long time. And that is what we realized last but 1 year, we started off with even sports instructors. So we talk about holistic education. Holistic education comes with physical activities as well as mental activities. And therefore, physical instructors and the teachers who are there who take care of sports, athletics, whether it is yoga, meditation, I think they are equally important in an academic institution. So we started off with workshops for sports instructors, and it was a roaring success. Then we looked at libraries and another important area. In fact, I often say in many other seminars, if library is like heart of the institution, the computer center is like the brain. I think in computers, we have memory, we have processing ability, and therefore I compare normally computer center as the brain of the institution, but the heart lies in the library, because what you learn comes not just from the classroom, but by also self-reading, self-initiation, motivation, and that's why library has what is called as heart of the system. It is very, very important that every student, when he enters into the institution, university, college, wherever it is, small or big, a library is a must, and therefore they all get into it. We have been innovating, I have said, in terms of regulatory mechanism, in terms of requirements, and as technology changes, as the what you say, the movement in terms of various types of facets change, we need to change according to that. So I'm not saying that we should be stagnant. In fact, one of the things which is permanent is the change. And therefore, libraries also should change and need change. And librarians and their ethos should also change. Librarian, whatever course is being run, that also should change. That is certainly the sign of progress. We cannot be stagnant. So what we started off a few years ago in terms of allowing e-books for the libraries, started with a small percentage. Moving on, we have now allowed up to 50% of the books being e-books. The other part is e-journals have been there for quite some time. There are physical journals which are also procured, or e-journals procured. Both e-books and e-journals are a sort of replacement to the physical books and journals, but I don't want to make it full 100%. There are reasons for that. Gradually, we may increase a little bit more if required, because there are distinct advantages of e-format of books and journals and the physical books and journals. To give a small example, if I want to have a book on, say, thermodynamics, and I know some author and I want to search for that book, I can certainly search for that book and then get into the library and then look for it and then get it issued. But when I don't have access to the library and physical books in the almiras or stalls or whatever we have that arrangement, what happens is if I don't get the book of my choice, I will leave it out or I keep quiet. Whereas if there is a chance of entering into the library, I will look at the rack where there are thermodynamics books, and the author whom I am looking for, I do not get. I will look at a few other books of the same title, but by different authors. Maybe what I was looking for with the particular author is not as good as something else which I find there, and then I get motivated and get it issued. I think this opportunity comes when we have open access library system, not in the closed access system. The closed access system is almost same as the library, which is e-library. In the e-library, some advantages which I would like to reflect is, same time, multiple people can make use of the same book, which is not possible in the case of physical book. You require n number of copies to be procured physically, and they should be located in your library. Whereas in e-books, you have a license, which is a sort of open license where you can have maybe 100 licenses So at a time, 100 people can certainly look into that same book. And you can see it remotely also by staying in your hostel room, by being in your department office, by being at your residence, as long as you are within the limits of the IP addresses which are given by the publishers. I think you will have access from anywhere. So anywhere learning, anytime learning is much more flexible, because library cannot be kept open 24/7, despite the talk of that being going on for quite some time. There are very few libraries in the whole world which actually are open 24/7. Most of the libraries are open for about 16 hours, 18 hours. Some libraries in some institutions run only for 8 hours during the daytime of the institution when it is running. So I think there are different models, and therefore this e-books and e-journals is a superb replacement for the physical books, where you can have access to them anywhere and anytime. I think that is the strength of the technology which is available. But still, as I again compliment, that physical form is a must, because even in a digital form, if you search for book, you will get 100 titles, but you do not know which one of that to select. And it is so easy to go to the library and in that rack pull out book and just flip few pages. You will get a feel and hang of what the book is all about and whether it is useful to you or not. And I think therefore the physical form of the library is as much important as the e-form of the library. And therefore whatever research is taking place in terms of science and information science, I think these aspects have to be studied in respect of various users, stakeholders, whether it is students who are undergrad students who will just use it for their coursework and examination, to the researchers who use extensively higher level of technology books or research journals, for them how they are going to use the existing phenomenon of both physical and e-type of both activities happening together. I think this kind of research is also required, and depending on the usability, how they are taking, I think this percentage can always vary. We need not be very rigid about we have decided once and we have to stick to it. I think as we change, we must change. Secondly, many libraries have the quieter spaces where you can go and sit and learn. I think that is one of the biggest strengths. You know, if one of the places in the whole institute is very calm and quiet, it is the library. And no one is allowed to disturb, and people will silently read in their own way wherever they sit and without disturbing anyone else. I think that strength you do not get in an online mode. You may be sitting in your office like I'm sitting, I may be watching some kind of a book or a journal and reading it, but some visitor will come and I'll get disturbed. Whereas in a library, there are cubicles, there are open things, even in a common space where there are tables and 10 chairs. I have observed in all the libraries, people do their own business. They don't disturb each other. And if someone is talking, he will be in a hush-hush voice, ask for something and something like that. And if the voice becomes even a little louder, the other stakeholders who are sitting there, immediately users will say, please keep quiet, you know. So I think that discipline is absolutely very, very important, which is existing in the libraries. You don't find it even in computer center, you don't find it in the classroom. So I think some kind of a meditative pose which we have in the library. Even suppose while reading you get into a slumber, I think you are going into a meditative mode. Maybe you are thinking about what you have read earlier in terms of adjusting that, in terms of accumulating that knowledge into deeper brain elements. I think these are possibilities which also exist in the library. And given all of that, I think the librarians and library science is very, very vital, important for all learners. And now when I say learners, it is not merely those who are going to the college and university, but learning today we say is lifelong learning. Learning can never stop. From birth to death, the learning continues. So which library should have what type of access, to whom should we give access, physical or otherwise? I think these are the modalities, rules which every institution has to make. And one very significant and important thing is about open access. I have referred earlier, but I reiterate it because my own experiences, where I studied in some of the best institutions Indian Institute of Science and taught in NERIST and IIT Guwahati. So they are all open access libraries. And I became director at College of Engineering in Pune. That is also one of the oldest institutions, second oldest technical institutions where Vishwesvaraya studied at one time. And after my 3-4 months of stay there, I never had realized, I could not even imagine that it was a closed access library. And students were not allowed. There was a catalog outside and people will go and look for whatever books they want, and they will tell the library staff, they will go in, search for that book, come out. Sometimes they hand over that book if it is available, otherwise they say it is not available. So the student is missing an opportunity of looking at the rack, some alternate books which are available. I think this I never realized. And someday some student came and said, sir, library mein kitab milta hi nahi hai, something like that. Then I said, kyun nahi milta hai? Then he told me that, sir, andar jane ke liye parwar. I was shocked. First 4 months, I had never realized that this kind of library also can exist in the world. So then I immediately called the librarian and told him, this is not acceptable and you must open access to all undergrad, postgrad, teacher, everyone. Then he said, nahi sir, oh, student book chori karte hai, they will tear the pages, they will do this, they will do that. 100 alibis my librarian there told me. Then I told him, there are 2-3 things let us do. First and foremost, let us put cameras into the library. So that now that technology available, which was not there some 25 years, 30 years ago, today that technology is existing. Some 7-8 locations we will put cameras, and all the time we are watching, and also it is recording. So anyone who is doing some mischief will be caught on camera. Second one, I said, why do students do this thing? Because we do not have a Xerox machine in the library, and at the most reasonable rate, you are not giving the Xerox copy of what he wants. So I said, first we will put a Xerox machine, and cost to cost basis, paper cost and the whatever ink cost, whatever is there, only that much will be charged. So it may be 28 paisa per page. So if you do that, I don't think students will tear the pages or doing like that. Third one, I said, still he was arguing, sir, nahi sir, this is a government institute. If something goes, who will be responsible? I said, I will be responsible. Number one, let us try this for 1 year. You do every year annual stock taking. Next year, we will again do it. And what was the average number of books we were losing earlier when everything was restricted? And this year, after everything is opened up, whatever is the difference, all that cost is borne by me, I said. And let us start doing it. We started doing it. 1 year down the line, I asked him how many books were stolen. Sir, last year से बहुत कम गया. पहले तो 100 किताब हमारी खराब होती थी. इस बार तो hardly 8-10 भी नहीं हुई. They say this is the power of technology, power of empowerment. The most important thing is empowerment of the stakeholder. When you restrict, people will get all kind of means of somehow getting into the system and trying to damage that. And when you are open, I think people will also respect you. So the responsibility is on the stakeholders. Ultimately, if the book is lost, who is going to be loser? And I remember during our time, some naughty guys, if they want a book, and since the rule is that after 15 days, you cannot get it reissued, they will return, but immediately go and keep it in a different, stack, so that no one else will get it. And after 5 days, फिर अगेन जाता है और बोलता है कि किसी ने नहीं लिया, इसका मतलब किसी को जरूरत नहीं है, मैं फिर एक बार लूंगा. I think all these tricks or the old tricks today, they are no more valid. I'm sure all of us have learned lessons from out of that. And today it's a really empowered library. With that, I don't want to continue. I have another, but we have changed one of the important things. Our requirement of library number of physical books reduced, but increased the number of e-books. Simultaneously, we have increased the requirement of bandwidth. The internet bandwidth for every institution, we are continuously doubling. Because ultimately, if you have to really empower, they can access those books from the within the campus using wherever hotspots are there or wherever fiber connectivity is there, only and only if the bandwidth is good enough. So I think we will reduce many other requirements, number of classrooms required, number of laboratories required, even the library space may be a little bit compressed, doesn't matter, but internet bandwidth is the one which is truly empowering today, and that is what we are doing. With this, I conclude, and thank you for inviting, and had a great time talking to you about some of the issues. and I'm sure you will deliberate on them, do research on them, and give us suggestions for further and further improvement in the way libraries are used. Thank you. Namaskar.
So thank you, sir. Thank you so much for such a scintillating words, and I really thankful to you. So just to give you our vision, our leader is here. Both the dignitaries are so curious about improving the library services. And just to tell you, sir, we have a brand new library of 5 floor. And I proudly say that since the day we opened the new library, we have not closed our door for any students. So we are.
I would like to intervene because I was not looking at your chat box, and I'm finding many, comments and all that. I may not be able to answer because time is limited. But one important thing which I noticed is when I was a student in Indian Institute of Science, librarian was having the grade equivalent to that of a professor. So all facilities in terms of pay scales, all facilities were exactly the same as that of a professor. So equivalent of that in whatever is there in academics, if the chief librarian is there who should be treated equivalent to a professor, then there may be a deputy librarian who should be equivalent to what we call associate professor. There must be an equivalence of assistant librarian to that of an assistant professor. Of course, now there is no lecturer except the polytechnics. So I'm not talking about polytechnics, but in the university structure or in the structure of the engineering colleges and many other degree level and postgraduate level colleges, the structure should be exactly same. The respect that we need to give to the library and the kind of service they are giving is important. And if you don't recognize this, I think we will be losing on many things. And there are not very many posts. There may be today not required as many number of posts of library staff as required in the past. But whoever are there, they must get that value which is required for providing information, for providing support. I didn't talk about the journals and the analytics. I know about Clarivate Analytics, which gives Web of Science, and similarly Elsevier has Scopus Index. So many researchers required a lot of inputs in terms of what are the white spaces, where research can be done, where you have to do your further activity. I think this kind of providing data analytics based information is also a duty of the librarian. See, you have to also expand yourself. It's not that in a routine manner, I will sit in one place and be a librarian and want a better salary and all that. I think both sides have to match. So we should also be proactively doing research of our own in terms of library science. How do we support research of, say, even engineering, pharmacy, architecture, or any other domain for that matter, law, medicine, etc. And similarly demand that we are also of the same level as that of a professor actually. I think based on all that, we must have a dialogue. Something has gone amiss. We must recapitulate that. This is my personal opinion. Maybe finally my words also may not be taken seriously in the ministry that be, but this is my at least personal opinion. I will keep fighting for such issues.
So thank you, sir. This is actually what the purpose of this workshop was. So we are really thankful to you. And certainly we are going to submit all these recommendations received from various fraternity. And we are going to submit in our report, in our this workshop report. And hopefully we are expecting that.
Sabko pranam, or allow me to
yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your kind time. Thank you, sir. Thank you. So thank you, sir. Thank you, Dr. Nair, sir. We really thankful to you, and hopefully we will going to meet again in afternoon session for your word of wisdom, please. Thank you so much for
excellent. I will log off.
Right, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
So thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I really because there's a lot of paucity of time, so I was expecting a few more, and I really thankful to Dr. Sandeep.